So let me just give this a better name. It's called corridor. Okay, and then let's create another geo. Why is that going slow? Create another geo. Call that source, because we're going to make our fire source in here. So I'm going to object merge in that corridor and grab it. Where are you? Corridor out. Hello. Okay. And so I don't, yeah, for building this source, we don't need all of this geometry, right? The whole thing is not going to be on fire. So we need to cut it down substantially. So, you know, we could use clips, since, you know, the geometry is quite simple. It's quite flat, you know. We don't have much subdivision. We need to add that to it. So I'm going to use a divide and turn these off. Okay, just go into the brick polygons. It's a quick and easy way to add geometry, to add subdivision really quickly, and then bring all these down to 0.2. Just middle click I'm doing here, 0.3, go one more step, 0.2. There we go, and let go. Oh, I got to 0.1 by accident. Let me press this. Ah, there we go. 0.2, perfect. Okay, and then I'm gonna. Now that I have this, we can delete. Oops. We can delete a whole kind of chunk of this, right? So yeah, we're gonna delete primitives, and if we use the bounding box, then you can see already it's deleting some stuff. Okay, so yeah, the part we want to fire is kind of in the middle here. So if we just kind of, by the way, I'm pressing shift when I click on, if you click on one side, you know, you can drag it by itself, or if you hold shift, it will bring both. Maybe I'll do, let me just set this to manual for a moment. Then it won't delete, and we can go a bit faster. So I'm pressing, yeah, shift there, and I just kind of want to delete this part in the middle, something like that. Okay, so let's set this to 20. I'm going to bring the center down to 3, and then the size will be 6.5. Okay, let me just see what that gives us so far. Right, because the roof's not going to be on fire, so we don't need it. You know, I'm trying to just trim off exactly where I want the fire to be. I mean, if I template that, so we can see a bit better. And then I'm going to move the center back 10, because the yeah, the camera's not really, doesn't really see this part here. If we jump back into the camera, you can see, so we don't need all these points back here. And just set this to 0. And that's perfect. Okay, so let's call this ISO burn area. Okay, divide, that's fine, and we can see what's going on there. So yeah, new node that was introduced in Houdini 18 is the pyro source spread. Okay, we're not going to use that yet, actually. Sorry, we'll look at that in a moment. First, the same node that we used in the previous lesson, the pyro source. Okay, to generate some points. So plug that in, and we get a load of points. Let's set this to surface scatter. Okay, otherwise we keep, you know, these points we can't add anymore. So surface scatter, I'm going to set this to 0.015. Get a whole load of points on there. Great. Okay, so we got how many do we have? 1.5 million, just over 1.5 million points. So let's just add a temperature attribute to this. Temperature, I'll default to 1. I'm going to set the scale to 0, so that we've got the temperature attribute, but it's just set to 0 on everything. Okay. And then now we can take a look at this pyro spread. So now as I selected, you can see it's kind of trying to work things out. We've got a clock here now, which indicates that this is time dependent, and also see this button reset simulation. So all of these are clues that this is a simulation. Basically the idea is we use it to simulate the spread of fire, okay? And it's not going to be, we're not going to see flames, we're going to see points, the attributes changing on a point, kind of like a point cloud, okay? Something you might have done in Vex in the past is being kind of wrapped up neatly in here with all different kinds of noises and things, which is really nice. Okay, so I typically will look at the burn, because that's what we're going to be sending into. These are all different ways of visualizing, so you can see the noise added to the fuel there and the diffusion. Burn, we don't have anything yet because the simulation hasn't started. Temperature also. Okay, so if we take a look at the burn, if we press play, you can see nothing's happening, right? Because the temperature is set to 0 everywhere. We need some temperature to actually start. So let me do that. I'll just grab, let's see, we need to group a few points. This is just for demonstration, so don't worry about copying this necessarily, okay? Because we're going to be setting these in a different way. And then I'm just going to drop a quick wrangle. Well, let's actually select some points with this. Set this to points, grab just a couple in the middle there. There we go. Come here, grab that group, and say the temperature, which is a float, f at temperature is 1. And you can see the results of that there. So they are ready to go. So now when I press play, you can see it very slowly starting to spread. Okay. And you can see a bit of noise there. What we can do to help that along a bit, if we go to this temperature change, okay, we can see this diffusion. So this is how easy or difficult it is for the points which are not on fire to become on fire, for the temperature to spread around, okay? And there's a noise used to affect that, right? So when it's very hot, it becomes hot easier, if that makes sense. So there's cooling rates. Let's bring that down. So that's the, you know, how quickly things cool, how quickly the points cool. Go back to a kind of ambient temperature. So if we drop that down, we should see it spread much faster. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna work on these a bit more later on. We're going to be actually painting the temperature and the fuel attributes in the next lesson, I believe.